I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
I remember the first time I ever saw Philip Seymour Hoffman. I was just a little kid in the 90s, sitting in a big old theater watching Twister. And of course, I was just there to see some big tornado CGI disaster action. And even though Twister blew my mind, what really stuck with me the most was this character Dusty, the comic relief. I thought he was absolutely hilarious with every line he said. And like I said, I was just a little kid back in those 90s, and at first I was just like, haha, that character's funny. That's awesome. But then something happened. This silly little side character changed in the third act of the film. When that old lady was in trouble, you actually saw sadness and pain and love in the eyes of this goofball. And I was just a little kid, so I didn't really know what was going on, but that right there was the first time I ever noticed depth in a character. And it was because of Philip Seymour Hoffman's Dusty that I truly, for the first time, appreciated the art of acting. And it's all thanks to a guy named Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Dusty, why don't you explain to Melissa why you are the way you are?
Come on.
He could be a huggable teddy bear or a gosh darn grizzly. This man's range was absolutely magnificent. Many of Philip Seymour Hoffman's scenes would be considered overacting in the hands of anyone else. But with Philip Seymour Hoffman, he made cinema feel real. He brought emotion back to the movies. There was absolutely no doubt that this fella was a natural. And during his short time in this realm that we call life, he brought us some of the greatest performances of all time in some of the greatest movies of all time. But tragically, like many other talented artists before him, he struggled with a serious addiction that took his life at the age of 46. Today we remember Philip Seymour Hoffman.
I do many, many things. I am a writer, a doctor, a nuclear physicist, a theoretical philosopher. But above all, I am a man.
I just want to take this time to say thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to click that bell to get notifications on future content. Now, back to the show. I can't believe this exists. Those were the words a young Philip Seymour Hoffman thought to himself after seeing Arthur Miller's play All My Sons. And immediately, performing arts and theater became his passion. After completing a summer residency at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, Philip Seymour Hoffman was able to land gigs not just in the theater, but on television too. His first role was on a season 1 episode of Law & Order, and right away we got to hear that classic Hoffman furious roar.
Look at me! Do you hear me, Katana? Oh, you hear me?
Philip Seymour Hoffman's first notable cinematic appearance came in 1992's Scent of a Woman. It was undeniably his breakout performance, and caught the attention of Mike Nichols and Paul Thomas Anderson. The dude was sharing the screen with Al Pacino, yet all eyes were still on this young Philip guy. And from then on, Philip Seymour Hoffman released 2 movies just about every year for his entire career, with 5 alone in 1998. Just to give you an idea of his diversity and range, that year, 1998, saw him play a perfectly pathetic peon in the Coen brothers' The Big Lebowski, a medical student who thinks laughter is indeed not the best medicine in Patch Adams, and a sweaty little pervert in Happiness.
Hello?
Hello, is this Claire?
Who is this?
Mr. Philip Seymour Hoffman had been working alongside the Hollywood elite nearly his entire career up to that point, stealing scenes from people like John Cusack in Money for Nothing, Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger in The Getaway, Andy Garcia and Meg Ryan in When a Man Loves a Woman, and Paul Newman in Nobody's Fool. And despite small roles, Philip Seymour Hoffman was undoubtedly making his presence known. Everyone had their eye on this guy. His most notable collaborator was writer-director Paul Thomas Anderson, appearing in 6 of his films. After a small but unforgettable turn as an unnamed craps player in the movie Hard 8, aka Sydney,
Alright, shaka-laka-doo, shaka-laka-dooby-dooby-doo.
Paul Thomas Anderson cast him in his next film, Boogie Nights, where he played a boom mic extraordinaire named Scotty, who develops a forbidden affection for Marky Mark's Funky Bunch. His character is so sad and so pathetic that your heart just breaks looking at him, while also being hilarious. A character like this, in a movie like Boogie Nights, should not be one of the standout performances of this epic ensemble, but it is. Then Philip Seymour Hoffman joined the ensemble cast of Magnolia in 1999, and he keeps this out-of-control film kind of grounded. He's the heart of Magnolia. Then Paul Thomas Anderson made Punch Drunk Love, and Philip Seymour Hoffman delivers the most powerful shut up ever put on film. And like I said before, this line with this type of delivery coming from anybody else would be considered desperate overacting. But when it comes from Philip Seymour Hoffman, it just feels real, more than real. And that's what acting should be. And if you disagree with me, you can shut up.
Shut up! Shut the fuck! You have no right to take me. Shut up! Will you shut up? Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
After skipping out on some milkshakes for Paul Thomas Anderson's There Will Be Blood, the two teamed up again later for Philip Seymour Hoffman's biggest role under that director, in 2012's The Master, where he played a mysterious gentleman named Lancaster Dodd, who is totally not, and I repeat not, L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Church of Scientology. This epic, exhausting performance rightfully grants Philip Seymour Hoffman the title of the Master. He truly is the Master. And this masterpiece of a movie would be the last pairing for Paul Thomas Anderson and Philip Seymour Hoffman, although right now his son Cooper is carrying on the Hoffman legacy in Paul Thomas Anderson's Licorice Pizza, now in theaters if you're watching this in the year 2022. And it is truly a beautiful, wonderful thing to see this director, Paul Thomas Anderson, work with Philip Seymour Hoffman's son. It's like a truly magical way to kind of keep Philip still with us, you know?
You're an actress. You should be an actress.
And while Philip Seymour Hoffman was a go-to for Paul Thomas Anderson, he proved to be a very important player across Hollywood, versatile in every facet, committed to every role. Philip Seymour Hoffman appeared in over 50 films, developing an eclectic bunch of complex characters. Characters like a social climber who comes across the wrong secret in The Talented Mr. Ripley, a drag queen in Flawless, an uncool rock journalist, Lester Bangs in Almost Famous, a reporter who's on a hot story in Red Dragon. He played a very naughty teacher in Spike Lee's The 25th Hour, a wild comic relief sharding former child star in Along Came Polly. He played arguably the franchise's best villain in Mission Impossible 3, a professor taking care of his abusive father in The Savages, the world's worst son in Before the Devil Knows You're Dead, a director who's wasting away in Schenectady, New York, a sad bunch of clay in Mary and Max, a baseball manager in Moneyball, and on and on and on.
This man is in the house. Oh my God.
Philip Seymour Hoffman also had a few leading roles, his first being 2002's Love Liza, playing a man who's addicted to huffing gasoline. He also starred in the film Owning Mahoney, where he officially showed everyone that he could be a leading man. Philip Seymour Hoffman's most notable performance came in 2005 playing novelist, playwright Truman Capote in the film Capote. For this stellar performance, Philip Seymour Hoffman cleaned up during award season, winning a BAFTA, a Golden Globe, and the Academy Award. And Philip Seymour Hoffman would have to get used to the awards circuit, as he also nabbed nominations for all 3 of those ceremonies, and numerous others for the films Charlie Wilson's War, where he played a window-shattering CIA task force chief during the Soviet-Afghan War, the morally complex film Doubt, as a priest who is accused of molesting an altar boy, and of course, The Master, where he delivers a masterful performance that, like I said before, is totally not L. Ron Hubbard. Philip Seymour Hoffman's post-The Master career was steady as ever. This unique, independent character actor soon found himself in the world of the huge summer blockbuster by appearing in the Hunger Games series, Catching Fire, and the Mockingjay double feature. He passed away with 1 week left in production. And many people don't know that Philip Seymour Hoffman worked in theater as consistently as he worked in film, co-leading New York's Labyrinth Theater Company in 1992, and appearing both on stage and behind the curtain as director or artistic director in over 24 productions. Philip Seymour Hoffman's last theatrical appearance was a Tony-nominated turn as Willie Loman in the staging of Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman. And this was a truly fitting role for Philip Seymour Hoffman, as he played Loman in high school in his very first production. And of course, he was inspired by another Arthur Miller play to get into acting in the first place. So working on Arthur Miller's Death of a Salesman pretty much tied his entire career together in potentially a full circle fashion. It's kind of beautiful. It's poetry, circle of life, and death of a salesman and an actor.
But this play demands a lot. It's a draining play, I would say. It's a draining experience, but a thrilling theatrical event of a play. So it's got that.
Outside of his art, Philip Seymour Hoffman mostly led a private life, but it could not be entirely hidden. In the time leading up to his death, he had been appearing more disheveled than usual, and Philip Seymour Hoffman had a history of drug abuse, experimenting heavily in college. Anything he could get his hands on, he liked it all, until he entered rehab at the age of 22 and struggled with staying sober his entire life. And in 2013, he checked back into rehab, sensing a re-emerging heroin dependence. Then, on February 2nd, 2014, Philip Seymour Hoffman was found dead in his Manhattan apartment, a syringe still in his arm, and heroin nearby. The official cause was an acute mixture of drug intoxication. Those close to him attributed the relapse to a number of factors, including seeing his own friends failing to recover from their own addictions, and he began to develop a love-hate relationship with acting. His passion was fading. He had recently called performing emotional and exhausting. He would also go on to say that, "For me, acting is torturous, and it's torturous because you know it's a beautiful thing. The emotions and the exhaustion, the torture and the beauty. It was clear in every performance." And hindsight points to Hoffman's attraction to addiction through art. In many ways, his art reflected his life. Philip Seymour Hoffman's wonderful performance in Almost Famous as rock critic Lester Bangs has a more disturbing, jarring vibe to it, if you know that the real Lester Bangs also died of an accidental drug overdose. And of course, his character's addiction in Love, Liza. And after seeing his character in Sidney Lumet's Before the Devil Knows You're Dead being shot up with heroin, it makes this brilliant film even more difficult to watch. But you know what? Sometimes that's how artists deal with their demons. They put it out there, on the screen. Philip Seymour Hoffman shattered audience and industry expectations, proving to be an absolute powerhouse in independent and mainstream cinema. With every performance, he truly showed us what it means to be an actor and what it means to deliver an authentic, powerful, and real performance. And he left us way too soon, leaving us only to wonder what could have been, what other characters he still had up his sleeve. But then you realize that you just gotta appreciate what we have and what he was able to bring us in such a short time. So thank you, Philip Seymour Hoffman. Thank you for all of the wonderful performances. Cinema will never be the same without you.